Hello and welcome to my vintage Schumacher RC video. In this one I'm going to attempt to fit the radio gear, and to do that I need to attach the antenna, but because the body and wing mount clamps the antenna pipe, this is why I've left it off. This is the body and wing mount, part number T260. This has the wing mount brackets on for the little plastic spoiler. And this is my ACOMS Techniplus receiver. Nice BC example. BEC is battery eliminating circuit. I think this is the radio gear. The radio gear I've got is the Techniplus with the chrome bezels and frontage with the analog voltmeter. It is absolutely perfect for my Cougar, because I did have it in the 90s. I think they released it in 89 and it got superseded about 93. So this is bang on the money for accurate radio gear. I know it's accurate because I had it, so I'm not cheating because I know, because I actually ran it. It's very good. I do like this radio gear. But anyway, BC AR227FE 2-channel ACOMS radio gear. It's all good stuff, this, you know, all good stuff. The only problem with this is the aerial wire is about 30 centimeters. Was it 30 centimeters, 30 inches? No, it's not 30 inches. That would be huge. About 12 inches, sorry, 12 inches. It's definitely 30 centimeters, 12 inches. Anyway, why am I going on about the length of the cable? But anyway, the reason I've left the wing mount off is because it clamps the cable and antenna pipe. So I thought to myself, when I was doing the build, I'll go off manual, as I normally do, and I'll leave the body and wing mount off until I've got the aerial in position. Well, keep watching, you'll see what I mean. You'll see what I mean. So what I'm attempting to do is to thread the cable through the bulkhead and suspension when it's on, but I don't want to catch anything. This is why I've left the spur gear cover off to this point. See, I'm just dry fitting it so I don't catch the cable, and I can feed the cable through nicely, because I don't want to pinch the cable in any way, because then that might result in limited range on the radio. So you've always got to be careful not to pinch your cable, because you do have issues. Like me, I had many issues in the 80s and 90s with radio gear. Hit many objects due to radio failure. I got through quite a few radio sets. I had the Techniplus one, ACOMS Techniplus. It's like a greeny plastic square box. That was the first one I had. That lasted a bit. That was with my Falcon. And then I remember buying a Techniplus Sport one, you know, with a little steering wheel on, like very, very modern now. I think everyone's got them with like a pistol grip with a little wheel on it. That was very forward thinking back in 89, 90. That was the Techniplus Technisport. But this one, I've got the Techniplus chrome bezeled version transmitter, which I do like. It looks very nice, and it works. Well, at the moment it works. But struggling to get this cable to go through this pesky bulkhead. It's quite fiddly. It's quite a fiddly process to, because you've got to be careful, because you don't want to pinch your cable. You don't want to pinch your cable. The process, I mean, I remember when I first built this, I fitted everything, and then came radio gear. I thought, how am I going to get my cable in there and not pinch it? But this is why I've left the body and wing mount off. Forward thinking, you see, forward thinking. Plus, I remember struggling doing it. Say back in the day, it was like 30, how many years? How many years ago? 34, blimey, it's a long time ago. But anyway, once the cable is in the position required, I'm going to quickly smash this body and wing mount on. Can't remember if I gave you the part number for this body and wing mount. I'll just repeat it just in case. It is T260. That is for the body and wing mount, and the actual spoiler mounts are T263 wing mounts. They're the little brackets that your spoiler go onto. See, very simple stuff. This very simple stuff. So now I've managed to get position of my receiver. I'm going to smash these 4 screws in very quickly. As you can tell, I have accelerated the video. You don't want to see me with my bony fingers trying to get these screws in. They're not that hard. It's not that hard, but they are 4 pan head. Got to remember, these are pan head screws. Only pan head screws on the 1990 version. You don't want to be caught out by using historically incorrect hardware when screwing your model together. Someone might pick it up and look at it and go, oh, I've got the wrong screws in. It's not right. So to make this correct, I'm using 99.9% correct hardware screws. So anyway, that's the antenna in. Wow, that was hard. You might have noticed I have not put the rear suspension on yet. That is due to this cable issue. This is why I wanted to get the receiver in position and then fit the spur gear cover and the suspension. You see, because I don't want to be snagging my cable or pinching it. Not at this stage. So anyway, sometimes I use Velcro to secure my electronics. This occasion I'm using very strong double-sided tape, and this, once this is down, oh blimey, yeah, once it's down it's not going to move. It's going to stay there till the next person takes it out. That will be in many gears. It'll be God knows when this comes out again. But hopefully, I've tested it, it does work. So there's no panics there. No panics with the working of the equipment. You've always got to make sure your equipment works before you install it. It is quite handy to have stuff that works, you know. Quite handy to have equipment that works in your model. But I'm not sure what equipment the Schumacher boys used when they did their world championships. I never really looked at what radio gear they used. Could have been anything. I mean, they didn't really promote it. You didn't get any like bundles. You know, when you bought your model, there weren't bundles on offer. But anyway, speed controller. This is my Futaba. I think it's an 11112B, I think it is, 12112B. Very nice speed control. It actually does go reverse. That's why I bought this one. I think there's another version that doesn't go reverse. I needed one that went backwards. But no, this actual speed controller, I bought this speed controller for my Falcon. It actually lived in my Falcon for a few years before it made its way to my Cougar. Wow, it's even older than the actual car. So you might be talking 36 years old or 35 years old. That's pretty good going now, isn't it? But anyway, now we are in a position to fit the suspension. It's took a long time coming, but we're happy with the receiver in position. I've just checked the position of the speed controller. That's in. Well, it will be in a minute. First, I'm going to get these shockers on. Teflon coated original models. I've not stripped or rebuilt these for about 20 years, and I don't really want to at the moment. But in the future, I have got some more of these, so I might do a quick video of stripping, refurbing original Teflon coated shockers. I've got some which I can do that with. I'm not going to do these ones because at the moment they don't leak and they are perfect. I don't even know if I put any oil in them, to be fair, so that's how much I do not want to mess around with these shock absorbers, because they're in mint condition and I don't want to damage them. I want to be as careful as I can be, because it's aesthetics, it's what it looks like. I mean, I think the front ones have got oil in, but I don't think the back ones have. And if they have, I'm not even going to look or check. I'm not that fussed. As long as the car at this stage looks nice. Don't forget, it's only going to sit on shelf, so it's not going to do any laps anywhere. It might do a couple of circuits in my house, but that'll be just to set up the differential. Make sure it doesn't spin too much, and it does actually move. That'll be the final video, I think, setting up the differential. But very straightforward, these. I'd already put the bolts in at the top in the wing mount, and as you can tell, they are not quick release, these shockers. The rose joints at the bottom where they screw onto are not, if you want to call them quick release, you've got to get a right butcher screwdriver behind them. I won't call them quick release. So that's why you saw me just screw them in without actually messing around. So suspension on. You probably noticed I don't think there's any oil in these. They are quite bouncy. So the car's actually forming up quite nicely now. It's looking good. It's looking good. You've got to remember, all these parts are plus 30 years old, so it does look very nice for a vintage original. I mean, blimey, I don't think you can get more original than this car. I mean, I know some bits were new in bag. Realistically, it's not a complete car out the box. There is new in packet parts on this car, so I mean, you could call it a copy of an original with new impact parts. I don't know how you'd go from that. I mean, I know in the real world, if you got a chassis number on a bit of metal and some burnt out metal, you can rebuild the car and say, this is the original car. I know that has been done. And people say, oh, it's not the original. Wow, I've got a chassis number. Here you go. It's original. But then that's another argument, isn't it? But anyway, this model is made of only original parts, and I think after the series of these videos are done, what I'm going to do is make a comparison video of original Cougar 90 to the Riri, and you will see the difference, and it is quite surprised. It's quite an eye-opener. My theory is that the Riri is based on the Cougar 90, but based on the Club 10 Cougar. If you look at the parts, some of the parts are very similar to the Club 10. Some are obviously Riri parts, obviously like the bulkhead. I think that's the most noticeable, the bulkhead where the battery goes. Everything else is pretty close. This is the motor cover with the embossed top cat in it. You think to yourself, why has it got top cat? Why has this got top cat embossed into it? You got to remember the Top Cat and Cougar were out at the same time, so Mr. Schumacher, like he always does, used the same parts. So this is why the back end of a Cougar is technically a Top Cat. This is why the motor cover has Top Cat embossed into it. Later models like the Cougar 2 does not have this embossed into it. So, and the Riri is smooth as well. There's no Top Cat written into the motor plate or motor cover. So if you want to try and look for one on Fleabait, Ewing bag, you're welcome to it. We don't really see many anymore. This one was a Ewing bag. Reason being, most or some were drilled to cool the motor down. I never did that. Obviously when you crash and your radio gear goes haywire, car does what it does, goes backwards into curbs, you get them like dented, scratched, scuffed, but that's reality of using your RC car. So mint parts are very hard to come across if it's on a car. So best way to do it, Ewing bag. This one, motor cover, was a Ewing bag. This is why it's a minter. There's not a lot you can say about that actually. So once this is on, we're going to smash the speed controller in. Wow, this car is almost done. I'll tell you something, it's quite nice putting this motor cover on. No, with the Top Cat written into it. You think, oh, that looks good. Looks very nice, very nice. So to the people back in the 90s who drilled them, you was very naughty people. You shouldn't drill parts. Keep them original, don't drill them. I've come across loads of chassis with holes, many holes. Sacrilegious drilling parts, it really is. Battery bracket. This is another thing that got cut because the batteries, the cable came out the front of the batteries. You didn't have many batteries that the cells were mounted side on. Very, there wasn't many at all. No, I can't even remember any batteries that was the cells was mounted side on. They're always mounted like face on, so you had a stick. This is why the bulkhead's designed for a stick battery. But for some bizarre reason, Mr. Cecil, even though his design skills were absolutely awesome, didn't realise, or someone didn't realise, that the batteries, the cable came out the front. So you get the battery brackets, which this is a battery bracket. You only got one in your kit. If you wanted to mount your battery sideways across the chassis, you would have to buy extra battery brackets, harnesses, whatever you want to call them. But this one, luckily, has not been cut, because what you get is you get the front cut for the cable to go through. So this wasn't a new in packet, this battery bracket. This was very lucky that no one had cut it. I know, because I was guilty of cutting mine, because the battery just didn't fit. Plus it made a massive bulge in it. Plus the servo for the steering was right next to it. So there wasn't enough space for your battery bracket to be bulging with cable that wouldn't go flush with it, and then it would intersect with your servo. So most people cut their battery bracket for their battery cable to go through. I know that's very technical stuff, but I've got quite a few. I've purchased quite a few Cougars in the past 20 years to achieve this Minter. It's very difficult to get cars which people haven't modified, cut, drilled, done their own sort of thing. Very difficult to get hold of those, very difficult. And the new in packet market is diminishing, as you would think, over 35 years of trying to get parts. There are some about. Here you go. This is the problem. This is the problem. Battery going in. See this. The bulkhead requires spaces between the chassis and the bulkhead for the battery to slide in. It's too tight. So I'm not going to mess about with that. And you can see the wire situation. I am not going to cut this battery harness because the cable just doesn't go in. See, that is pushed back now. It will go in if I force it, but there you go, look, cables are sitting on top of the battery bracket. So this is why people cut slots in the bracket to get the batteries to go in. So major issue, major design flaw, Mr. Cecil, major design flaw. I mean, I don't know if people had different batteries with their top cats. I've got to remember the bulkhead and the battery bracket is top cat design. But I do remember cutting mine, so finding one without a slot cut in it is quite, I wouldn't say rare, but you can probably get them, but it's all a bit random nowadays, all a bit random. So now that's in position and the receiver is in position. I'm happy with that receiver position. Here comes the Futaba 112B speed controller. Its original case with its original cables. You know why I know it's original with its cables? It's because this is my original receiver I bought in about 1989. I think I bought this in 89 because I ran it in my Falcon. I know, a bit bizarre putting a electronic speed controller on a Falcon, but it's what you did. But anyway, you probably noticed that we're running out of space in this very large open chassis because stuff was big. You got to remember, this is quite small, to be fair, this speed controller. Compared to early ones. Plus it goes in reverse. Plus I need an extension for my cable for the receiver. I have found an old photo of my Cougar as it was in its very, very late life, and I have got an extension on the receiver cable because it wasn't long enough, because it used to go over the battery, so I got an extension and put it round the battery bracket. But anyway, I need to find one of those. I've got one somewhere, a nice little cable extension. But anyway, that's where the receiver is going to sit on that side. I did actually, this is why the cover or case for the speed controller is in mint condition, because I took the speed controller out of the case and I used heat shrink to cover it, blue heat shrink. That is a space saving idea I had. It wasn't anything to do with weight, it was purely down to space. I did at one point have battery packs on either side, like 3 cells on either side. I mean, you tried everything when you were racing. I think I'm going to do away with this Velcro. Once I get a position for my receiver, I'm going to double side it Get some double-sided tape on it. Can you notice? Look at that. Just enough room for the battery. Absolutely just enough room. It's probably, I think, I didn't have the battery sideways. I never mounted it sideways. I always went straight down the middle. Straight down the middle with this configuration. Because it spaced the weight, you see. The weight was evenly distributed. You didn't really notice back then. You're talking like 30 years ago. 30 plus years ago when you were racing, people did all sorts, but not like nowadays. Not like nowadays. Completely different. But anyway, we're coming to the end of this video. So we've got the receiver in. We've got the wing and body mount on. Antenna stuffed in the hole. We've got the speed controller in. Motor is in. Ooh, what have we got left? There's not an awful lot left. We've got wheels to go on, body to go on, servo to get mounted. But that's just going to get stuck in. We're not going to mess about with that. That's how it was done. Servo was just stuck in. This is the servo that came with the Technic Plus kit. Nothing special, just a standard servo. Anyway, let's say thank you very much for watching, being patient, following the series, and it's about laters then, people. Laters.